evening. My name is Mr. Elvin Crosby, and you are watching Crosby University. This show is about politics. So when you are viewing me, you are listening to me talk about politics. There will be no guests. I am the host. I am who you tuning in to see today. So let's talk politics. Now, we know there's a presidential election taking place. We know that there are two candidates, Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump. Now, I am a Democrat. Unapologetic. It is what it is. I know some folks, though, they kind of scared to be Democrats for some reason. Now, I know we got two types of words that we use. One of them is called a progressive. For those of you who don't know what a progressive is, it's closer to the left, far left, more like I would say, well, Bernie Sanders is a progressive. I am not a progressive. I am not a tree hugger. I don't believe in socialism. But I am a Democrat, and I am a Democrat because I believe in the Democratic platform. Now, with this election coming up, we have some issues that we need to work out on this show before I get started. Now, Donald Trump just came to Detroit about a week ago. Before he came to Detroit, I would say about maybe two or three um, campaign stops he had. One was in Arizona. The other one was in, I think it was one in Iowa. He spoke about the black community. And when he spoke about the black community, he basically dogged the black community. Not only did he disrespect the black community, but in his words, looked at the black community and said, what do you have to lose by voting for me? As though we have nothing. Now, wait a minute. Let's stop right there. Now, as a Democrat, I don't always believe in the Democratic candidates that come up. Now, granted, Hillary Clinton, I do have some issues with her. Now, I have some colleagues who like to basically bring up the super predator comment. Now, the super predator comment, I can understand why you have some issues with that. But once you put it in context, I think you would take a look at that and I don't, although it still can be looked at as offensive, I think you will understand where they were coming from. Now, let me explain it a little bit before anybody get upset with me and say, well, Crosby, you know, she said super predator, she could be racist too. Donald Trump is real. Man, look, this is the bottom line. When she spoke about super predators, she was talking to the black community because the black community went to the Clintons during their campaign and said, can you help us? We have crime in our neighborhoods. We have drugs in our neighborhoods. Can you help us? Can you help us get rid of these issues? So the Clintons came up with this three strikes rule, and they implemented the program without okay. We were okay with that at the time. Little did we know that everything was going to jump off the way it did. Little did we know that there will be mass incarcerations of African Americans. No one foresaw that. Well, I don't want to say no one. There were some folks who came out and spoke out against it, but for the most part, nobody knew that would take place. So now, let's fast forward to this election. That's being held against her within the African American community. Now, right now, she has about 87% of the African American vote. There is more out there, but for some reason, we are choosing to vote otherwise. She should be getting down. If I'm not mistaken, Barack Obama got about 90% of the African American vote. So there are those who are out there who are choosing either to stay at home or vote for someone else. Now, when we look at this election, we must look at it in two ways. There are two candidates. One of them's going to be president, whether we like it or not. One of them's going to be president. If you do not vote for Hillary Clinton, that gets Donald Trump closer to being president of the United States. Now, this man came here, sat in one of our local churches. I'm not going to bash the church or anything like that. That's not what I do. But he sat in one of our local churches and gave a speech, one of these soft peddling speeches, trying not to offend us, the black community. Now, when he was in these other states at his campaign rallies, he didn't talk like that. The way he spoke as though we had nothing as a community. What do you have to lose by voting for me? These are his words. But yet, he comes to the city of Detroit, gets in front of the black community in a church, and doesn't say any of the things he said when he was in front of them white crowds. Didn't say any of it. Now, there's a pattern here. Just follow me. At the start of his election, he came out. First thing he said, he started talking about Mexicans. What did he say? He said they are thieves, they are rapists, they are murderers. Talking about illegal aliens. And he said we have to get rid of them. We have to come up with an immigration plan that's going to get rid of these illegal aliens because they are destroying our country. Not only are they destroying our country, they're taking our jobs. This is what he said. But when he went in front of the Mexican delegate and sat down with them to discuss their issues, he said nothing about what he said when he first came out during his campaign. Now, not only did he not say that when he went to Mexico, he just left Mexico 2-3 weeks ago. Now, he's been hollering about him to build this wall, this great big wall, and I'm going to keep all these immigrants out. The moment he gets in front of the Mexican president, he mentions nothing about the wall. There's a pattern here. Donald Trump is a coward. Donald Trump is a coward. He is not going to tell you to your face what he believes. That's just how he is. Now, look, I know some Republicans will get upset because of what I'm saying. I don't care. When we take a look at Donald Trump, you have to look at him as is. Okay? Take him at his word. This is a man who is a racist. This is a man who is a bigot. This is a man who will talk behind your back, but when it's time for him to get in front of your face, he won't say nothing. He'll act all nice like he did in that church. And we got some of these knucklehead cornbread Negroes who are sitting up smiling in his face while he's in Detroit. Now look, I don't want to offend anybody. If I do, I don't care. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here because what we need to do, number one, we need to figure out what we can do to get these people who are not voting for Hillary Clinton to vote for her. Now, I know the Bernie Sanders thing, and look, I like Bernie too. I do. I'm not going to sit up here and say he didn't have any great ideas. He did. But the man was never going to be president of the United States. He just was not. He was not going to be president of the United States. Now, he did bring up some good issues, but you can't come to me and say you marched with Dr. King and expect me to fall in line. Say, well, when did you, Dr. Well, I fought with the civil rights movement, and while I was in college, I fought for civil rights. Well, where have you been for the past 50, 60 years, brother? The struggle continues. So you can't just come to me and say, well, I was involved in the civil rights movement, therefore you should vote for me. That don't go with me. I don't fall in line like that. Now, like I said before, Hillary Clinton is not the perfect person. Understand that. I know she said some things. I know people, oh, she's not trustworthy, all of this, as though all politicians are, but that's another matter. We're not going to get into that. So the bottom line is there are people who don't trust her. But Donald Trump is a bigot. Donald Trump is a racist. I can't believe that there are people in this country who are voting for him, who are actually voting for this bigot, voting for this racist. Now let's go back a little bit so that we can figure out where Donald Trump came from. Follow me. If you remember, Barack Obama takes office. When Barack Obama takes office, a bunch or a group of Republicans appear. Now, they're not regular Republicans. They're what you call the far-right Republicans. We call them the Tea Party. And the Tea Party start to protest the election of President Barack Obama. Now, if you recall, they will be marching in front of the White House, photos of Barack Obama dressed in or face painted, looking like the Joker, things of that nature. Then Donald Trump appears and comes out and basically starts talking about the birther movement, that the president was not an actual American. Republicans didn't say anything. They didn't say nothing. They let Donald Trump for a whole year talk about President Obama. He is not an American. He is a Muslim. It got so bad that the President of the United States had to produce his birth certificate as though he was a slave off of the plantation, and he had to serve it, and he had to show his freedom papers. That's what it looked like. So Barack Obama makes the president have to show his birth certificate. After the president shows his birth certificate, does Donald Trump come out and say, okay, he's an American citizen? No, he does not. Until this day, the presidential nominee for the Republican Party has never said that President Obama is an American. Never. Every time they ask him, he makes the statement, well, I'm not talking about that anymore. The man does not believe President Obama is an American. Why is that? I'll tell you why. Because he's a racist. Because he's a bigot. And racists and bigots, they don't do things like apologize. They don't. They say what they're going to say. No matter who it hurts, they do not care. This is the Republican nominee. Now, other Republicans are moving away from this man. Other Republicans, Paul Ryan, Speaker of the House, the powerfulest Republican in the country, did not want to endorse Donald Trump. And ever since he's tried to get along with Donald Trump, it's always a problem. Because Donald Trump is always doing something or saying something to make Paul Ryan back away. Now, if the Republicans can't stand this man, then why is he getting votes? Right now, Donald Trump is about, I would say, he's almost tied with Hillary Clinton. Now, I know Hillary Clinton has had her issues, and I don't think she's running her campaign the way it should be run. I mean, number one, Donald Trump is in the news far too much. But he's doing that stuff on purpose. He's in the news more than Hillary Clinton for the simple fact that every time he makes a mistake, it's big news. Every time he says something stupid, it's big news. To the point where there are days where you don't even see Hillary Clinton on the news. Part of that is Hillary Clinton's fault, but Donald Trump is the main culprit of that. Donald Trump knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. He's not doing this. He's not making mistakes. Whatever he says, he means it. Now, yesterday, he just had another campaign rally, came out and said, if Hillary Clinton goes out in the middle of the street and shoots somebody in the head, she still won't get arrested. Now these are his words. Now usually when a presidential nominee makes a statement like that, that's the end of their campaign, not Donald Trump. You know why? Because 40% of the population here in America is voting for him. Now, I know things are not perfect, but to vote in someone who is morally corrupt as Donald Trump, to me that sends a message to the whole country that 40% of the population would rather see him in office despite all of the problems he has. Despite all the problems. That's a problem for us as a nation. Now, when I decided to do this show, one of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to open up some dialogue. Not just with me in the audience, and that's going to happen, but I wanted to get people thinking about this election. Now, it's been a lot of mudslinging, a lot of name calling. It's one of the nastiest campaigns we have ever seen. But we cannot let what Donald Trump is doing dictate how we look at this election. And right now, that's what we're doing. We're like a deer in the headlight. Every time he shines his light, we stop. We stop and look. Donald Trump has taken over this campaign to the point where you don't hear anybody's message but Donald Trump's, whether it's good or bad. Whereas Hillary Clinton actually has a good message. She actually has a message that's trying to unify the country. But her message is not getting through. And yesterday, she wasn't feeling well. So now the media wants to talk about her health. What are her health issues? Now, keep in mind, Donald Trump sent out a doctor's, some health records. And his doctor, first of all, if you see his doctor, he looks like a hippie out of Woodstock. Number one. Number two, when you look at the record or the letter he gave Donald Trump a one-page letter, and in the letter says that Donald Trump might be the healthiest presidential nominee to ever campaign for office. That's all he said. That's all he said in one letter. Whereas Hillary Clinton gave you a stack of information about her health. But now everybody, because she has pneumonia, everybody's wondering what's going on with her health, what's going on with her. But we're not holding Donald Trump accountable for what he's producing. We want more about Hillary Clinton, but nobody's saying anything about Donald Trump. That's a problem. This man has not released his tax returns. His medical records are a sham. He's creating false universities and then paying off attorney generals not to sue him. And we give him a pass. We are giving him a pass. We are basically saying, and then because, well, I don't like Hillary. Well, you know, if you don't vote for Hillary, that helps Donald Trump. That helps Donald Trump. That's how Bill Clinton got in office. You had Bill Clinton, you had George Herbert Walker Bush, and you had Ross Perot. Bill Clinton won his presidential election with 49% of the vote, when you should be getting at least 53, 54% of the vote. He won with 49% of the vote. Why? Because you had Herbert Walker Bush. Now keep in mind, George Bush's father, Herbert Walker Bush, had just won the Iraqi war, the first war. Won that war, was a sitting president, and lost. He won the war and lost. Why did he lose? Because you had Ross Perot, that third candidate, taking his votes. And Bill Clinton won with about 47% of the vote. That's not supposed to happen. So if you decide not to vote for Hillary Clinton, if you decide that, you know what, I'm going to try one of these third candidates who you know not going to be president, will not be president, will come nowhere near the presidency whatsoever. If you decide to vote for one of them two, you are helping Donald Trump. I don't care what you think. I don't care what you believe. This is what's going to happen. Donald Trump is close to winning the presidency of the United States. He has now right now Hillary Clinton has the edge, but her edge is slim. It's slim. It is a good possibility that we could wake up after the election and be saying President Donald Trump. And God help us if we do. I got folks talking about they want to move to Canada. They ain't moving to Canada. You need to come out and vote. We need to keep this man as far away from the presidency as possible. This man is already creating havoc. And he hasn't even stepped foot in the White House yet. He's already creating havoc. And for the life of me, I cannot understand why this man is getting votes. Let me tell you something. If he had said to my wife, to my mother, to my sister, to my stepchildren, if he had said any of the things that he has said about women to them, it would be a problem. He has called them fat. He's called women fat. He's talked about the menstrual cycles, called them ugly. Other Republicans. This is how he has spoken about women. But yet we giving him a pass. We are giving him a pass. Women should be outraged. I don't see any outrage. I don't see the outrage. This man has said things about his daughter, Lord knows, and if you don't believe me, go on YouTube, look up The View, in which Donald Trump and his daughter are guests. And in that interview, he basically talks about his daughter, and he basically said if his daughter was so beautiful, if she was not his daughter, he would be dating her. That's just what the man said. That's what he said. And we about to put this man in office. He is morally corrupt. He does not care about other people. He only cares about Donald Trump. Now, if you look at the Washington Post, I think it was an article that came out in last month sometime. Anyway, Washington Post basically wrote an article talking about Donald Trump's debt. Now, the mainstream media, they touched on it, but they didn't really get into it. Now, his debt, number one, he owes about $650 million in debt. Some of that debt he owes to the Bank of China. When you get a chance, if you don't believe me, look up the New York Times, August 20th, 2016. He owes debt to the Bank of China. $650 million. Now, all of that debt may not be his, but some of it is. Now, this is the same country that President Barack Obama just came from, and they disrespected him. I'm telling you, folks, something's going on here. Something is going on here. Barack Obama pulls up in Air Force One, and they can't even bring out the steps to bring him to the airplane for him. Something's not right. Something's not right. If you are in debt to someone, how is it you can be president of the United States? How is it you can be president of the United States if you're in debt? I don't understand that. Usually when you are in debt, people know because you have to show your tax returns. He has not shown his tax returns, so we don't know what type of debt he has. We don't know. But yet you got people who are voting for him. You got people who are saying, now keep in mind, at his rallies, the people who are at his rallies have had they got the nerve to bring out the Confederate flag. And you upset with Colin Kaepernick for sitting down on during the national anthem, and you got Trump supporters bringing out the Confederate flag. Something's going on. If you're not paying attention, he's going to win this election. If we're not paying attention, he's going to win this election. All right, we're going to go to break. Just keep going. Okay, we're going to keep. I'm going to keep going. So, like I said, if we're not paying attention, he's going to win his election. So we got to pay attention as to what's going on. This is a man who owes money. This is a man who is morally corrupt. Also, his campaign is pocketing millions. Well, he is pocketing millions from his campaign. If you notice, whenever Donald Trump has a press conference, he's at Trump Towers. When he's giving certain speeches or having his news conferences, he's at his facilities. So if he's at his facilities and campaign money is coming in, where do you think that campaign money is going? It's going to his pocket. Now look, this is my first show, and I appreciate you guys listening to me. I will be back on, if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to be back on September 26, 2016 from 6 o'clock to 6:30. Once again, September 26th from 6 o'clock to 6:30. We're going to have some more discussions about this election because we need to get into Hillary Clinton and the mistakes that she's making. We need to get into a lot of other issues that the media, the mainstream media, they're not talking about. So we're going to get into that on my next show. I want to thank you for giving me your time. Once again, thank you for tuning in to Crosby University. Bye-bye.